All right, everyone. What a week we got going this week. I got a couple of big announcements, honestly. So, are you listening? All right, good. I am proud. And whenever I say I'm proud, I mean I'm proud to say that I'll Call You Right Back podcast is proudly sponsored by Streets on Carson. Me and Chef Matt have, became friends over the last couple years, and I'm sure that you could obviously tell that if you've listened to any of the previous episodes of I'll Call You Right Back. But yeah, for people that don't know, Matt Christie and his wife Lauren own a restaurant on the south side of the city called Streets on Carson, and it's just street food from around the world. The address is 1120 East Carson Street, and honestly, there ain't a place in the city where you can go and have better people, a better vibe, and just better food. Everything there is just fucking fire, from the wings all the way down to the canoe cut bone marrow. Chef Matt's just doing shit right, and it's easy to gravitate towards people that are pumping out quality shit, but also are just great people. And like I said, over the last couple years, I don't even know if it was 2 years, but a year and a half. Matt was on the podcast, and I didn't know him before that, but I had him on an episode of the podcast, and ever since then, it's just, I knew he's a good dude, and we just kind of been going strong. I talked to him about all kinds of shit, but he hit me up, and he was like, yo, dude, what do you think about doing a sponsorship for Streets on Carson? And I was like, fuck yeah, like, I already rep this shit harder than anything else. It's like absolutely no brainer to me, He hit me up and he was like, anything you're doing in live events, anything you want to do, I'll hook it up with the food and shit like that. So I'm just I'm fucking pumped to be able to say that this podcast is now sponsored by Streets on Carson. I wasn't in this shit to get sponsorships. Like, yeah, people are in this shit to make money and everything like that, but I'm in this shit to meet dope ass people and just support people that are doing dope ass shit. And Matt's doing dope ass shit down the city. Like, you can go in there and have a fucking gourmet meal while you're listening to Gimme the Loot by Biggie, ODB, Wu-Tang, some of the Temptations. Like, the vibe in there is incredible. But I'm proud to present, I'm proud to say that I'm sponsored by Streets on Carson. So I'm going to say it with my chest even more. So just get with it, deal with it. Yeah, man, I'm excited. If you haven't tried it out yet, 1120 East Carson Street. Matt Christie is the chef. Tell him I'll Call You Right Back sent you, and you'll get that extra love. But anyway, another thing I wanted to talk about. I have to bring it up because I'm just blown away by it. There's a show on HBO. It's called Crashing. And it's been, I love it. I love it so much. It's about comedians. It's about, the struggle of a starting comedian trying to break into the world of comedy. And it takes place. It's with Pete Holmes. He's a professional comedian. Professional, I don't know if that's the right terminology, but he's a famous comedian. And it just has all kinds of people in there. You got fucking Artie Lang is like the counterpart to Pete Holmes, but this show is just it's really, really awesome. I'm keeping up with that. It's on season 3. I figured I'd pump that out because that's currently what I'm watching, and I always go over that shit. But yeah, definitely dope. Anyway, another thing I wanted to go over. One Up Skate Shop has recently opened a skateboard social club. So if you listen to my episode with Brandon McConnell, who is one of the co-owners of One Up Skate Shop, he talked about opening up a skateboard social club. What that is it's basically they got a dope ass warehouse, and some of the homies that they're friends with, they have been constructing this indoor park that is open. It's going to be open 24 hours. It is a monthly based club where you pay, I believe it's $10 starting out to get a card, and then it's $30 monthly. And that is, you basically just get a fucking swipe card. You can just go there whenever you want. If you don't want to skate at 6 o'clock whenever people are like in there bumping shit and you just want to be by yourself, go at fucking 1 a.m. Doesn't matter. You're part of the club, but you got a card. There's some rules, so don't be a fucking asshole. Follow the rules and just keep it a nice place. It definitely looks dope. I'm excited to go down there and just check it out. But if you want some more information on that, go on Instagram and follow One Up Skate Shop, and also follow the number one UP underscore behind the green door. That's it. So the number one UP underscore behind the green door, and you could get a lot of the information that's coming out with that. He'll let you know what's going on as far as memberships and all the info that's coming out with that. They got a fucking 40-foot mini ramp in there. They got a whole street section. But if you're into skating, definitely check them out and make sure you tell them the podcast sent you. The last thing I want to go over is definitely do not forget, we got Yoga Ralph's drop-in classes coming quick. And like I said, I will be in attendance. It is going to be, it's probably going to be a little bit fucked up. Yoga is definitely hard. Definitely, you know, it's hard for sure. But March 29th, 6:30, Yoga Flow in Murraysville. $5 hot vinyasa for all levels. I think I'm pronouncing it like hot vinyasa. It doesn't matter if you're new to yoga or you're a seasoned yoga vet. Come and tune up the practice. This is a fundamental yoga flow, but this ain't no grandma shit. And those are the words by Yoga Ralph. Definitely come and check that out. $5 cash money. Don't be bringing no cards. We don't accept plastic. Only that cash money. $5 drop-ins, March 29th at Yoga Flow in Murraysville. Don't forget. All right. So, the reason everyone's here this week, I have a really, really awesome guest. This podcast was so sick to me. I love whenever I have people on that I don't know too much about, that, you know, it just makes for a natural conversation, and I fucking love it. This week, my guest is Moemaw Naedon. Moemaw is a underground rapper from Pittsburgh. You know, he's been in this game for a minute, and I first got exposure to him out of there was like an art crawl down Southside, and he was paired up with Threads on Carson. I used to work at that store, Threads on Carson, and you know, he came in, we didn't know what was going on. We talked about it a little bit in the podcast, but I met him and he just was rapping outside the store, and he was fucking killing it. So it's always made an impression on me. Plus, he works with some of the people that I'm mutually friends with. So like, I fuck with his product. I wanted to have him on here, and I kind of wanted to hear where it all came from, because he's into some wild shit. Like, he has some wild ass, you know, lyrics and beats and everything like that. And he was just a super interesting dude. We talk about everything from, you know, where his name came from, how he got into hip hop, and kind of how, you know, his path kind of took a little turn for a little bit. We talk about fucking Star Wars. We talk about skateboarding. We talk about how to press a vinyl record. This whole episode is just filled with dope ass shit, and I'm pumped about it. And oddly enough, tonight there is a show that Moemaw Naedon is performing at. If you ain't got shit to do tonight, head over to Spirit. The show starts at I don't know, I think you said 9 p.m. Yeah, 9 to 2. But Clockwork DJ is hosting a show. People don't know who Clockwork DJ is. That was the late Mac Miller's DJ, and he's putting on a show with Chew Jackson, Moemaw Naedon, and DJ ADMC. And you already know DJ ADMC was up on I'll Call You Right Back as well. You know, I'm just getting around to everyone in the city, but there's a show. It's tonight, March 7th, 9 to 2 a.m. at Spirit. If you don't know where Spirit is, it's 242 51st Street. In Lawrenceville. Doors are at 9 p.m., $10 cash, and go there and check them out. I wish I could be there. I have to go to a funeral, or I would be in attendance, but go and check out Moemaw Naedon, Chew Jackson, and DJ ADMC, and Clockwork, obviously. But I appreciate everyone listening so much. And thanks again for Streets on Carson for fucking with me like yous do. I'm excited to keep this shit going with you. And without further ado, we got episode 60 of I'll Call You Right Back podcast with Moemaw Naedon.
I gotta use the telephone.
Hello?
Telephone.
I'll call you right back. Call you right back.
Telephone.
I'll Call You Right Back podcast. You're just a coffee fiend?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a morning guy, but I still have to like have coffee all the time.
Yeah, I pretty much have landscaped for the majority of, the past fucking like 6-7 years.
Yeah.
10 years maybe actually. So getting up at fucking 5:30 in the morning.
That's what time?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Always that's what time I'm up usually, 5:30. But I'm to the point now where if I don't have coffee, I start getting a crazy headache.
Yeah.
And like that's crazy to me. It's sick that I have to just like down coffee. Sometimes I don't even want it. I just know that I'll have to have a cup because I don't want to have a fucking migraine throughout the day. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I remember I first met you at Threads. Do you remember what that was for? Was it the artist?
It was Southside Art Crawl, I believe. Red Fishbowl. Whatever it was called, I know Red Fishbowl put it together.
What is Red Fishbowl?
It's some kind of music promotion event company. They host events. They do things within the music community. I think they may be the ones that did that IPA with Full Pint Brewing. That every time you buy it, it benefits local artists.
Oh, okay.
And I know, and I can't remember. I think the guy's name's Chris that runs it, but he had reached out to me. However, he heard me and asked me to be a part of that. Said you'll be playing at Threads.
Yeah, like how did that work? People just got teamed up with other businesses
Yeah.
down
I think
there?
they tried to put like relevant artists together.
I guess
They put me and Billy Pilgrim, which for Pittsburgh, that's a pretty good pair up.
Yeah,
But I got there and
Billy Pilgrim. Fuck, he's the one who made all them prints, right? With the
he's an artist, visual artist too.
yeah, with the lines and shit.
Yeah.
Fuck,
He's good.
I forgot all about him.
But yeah, he's still around. I don't know if he moved or whatever, but he's always got music coming out. But yeah, I got to Threads. I knew it was a clothing store. I think I bought shoes there a couple times. I got there and I was like, all right, I'm here to perform. What's going on? And they're like, oh, we have like this stereo with speakers.
Yeah, dude.
But they didn't have a mic or anything.
It was I remember it being it was kind of a fucked up situation for us because we didn't really know what was going on. Mm-hmm. You would think like an art crawl, you would think it was like a visual artist because like we had another art crawl where people I forget who it was, but like there was some painter, she did like body painting or some shit, so we didn't know there was a fucking speaker that needed to be there. But
I think that there was somebody that was getting body painted.
While that was happening?
I think that, yeah. Like,
okay, that might have been the same time then.
Ass out and everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, 100%.
Right, that was the same time. Yeah, I was like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah,
one
knew.
It was cool because there was that going on.
And that drew a crowd.
Yeah, that was.
It was just some girl with like her ass and her tits out, just pretty much just getting painted.
Yeah, it was a nice sight.
Well, the thing that I remember about you is that like you were just standing outside, just like fucking freestyling for like probably a half hour, just like.
Yeah, so there was no mics, and the speakers were small because there was obviously miscommunication. Billy Pilgrim actually set it off like, all right, fuck this. He took a chair from inside and played his beats from inside, and stood on the chair and rapped his set.
Yeah,
with the music playing from inside the store, but he was rapping to people going by. I'd like to say I came up with that idea, but I piggybacked off of him.
That's all right.
Word. Well, that's what I'm going to do then too.
Yeah, that was some real shit.
And I enjoy that type of shit. Honestly, like I'm kind of glad it happened that way.
Yeah.
I'd rather it happen that way than have a nice sound system inside and everybody's hanging outside.
That makes sense.
In.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
for
so
sure.
I took the opportunity and
Made it work.
I just was rapping as loud as I could with my beats playing in the background. I'd say like 50% of it was freestyle, 50% of it was me
dude,
doing
I was
the actual song.
I was sitting there for a minute and I was just like, fuck, this dude just keeps going. Just keeps going, keeps going. But the thing that's different about you that like kind of stood out for me is that you're not like a what genre would you consider yourself? I mean, I'm sure it's if you've fallen under the hip hop umbrella, but like subgenre. If I, from a listener point, I would classify it as like almost like a psychedelic hip hop.
I like that a lot.
Because like you're rapping about shit that like it's almost like you're rapping about like you're rapping riddles. It's like I was listening to all your music, and I was trying to like I have to like rewind pieces of it just to listen to your verses, and I hear you rapping about Isaac Hayes and Snake Plissken, and like then you're talking about acid and fucking Toxic Rain and shit like that, and you're just like, damn, like. So I was really interested to figure out like where all this shit was coming from.
Yeah, I like psychedelic hip hop is actually I've heard somebody else say that exact same thing.
Yeah,
psych hop.
Psych hop.
I mean,
yeah, dude, because I can't. I mean, I wouldn't classify you under like a regular hip hop. Like, it's not the same shit as like you hear on like Drake and like fucking Kodak Black and all that. It's just different. It reminds me almost of like more of like a Diabolic or like a Mortal Technique kind of, where it's like you're enunciating, you're like really, you're really like the vocabulary is there. It's not just like you're not lazy with it. That's what I'm saying. It's not lazy at all. But the beats are all fucking like real spacey and techie and shit like that. So like, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Butler County, actually.
Really?
Yeah, that's where I grew up. I was there until like young adulthood, and then lived in a bunch of different places.
Were you always into like rap music and shit?
I was into so kind of going back to what you were just saying about the genre and it not being like your standard hip hop that you hear. It's almost like, to me, like me being from the 90s and getting into hip hop in the 90s, there was a lot of that kind of stuff in the underground, which is what really drew me to hip hop. So to me, it's just I'm doing the stuff that I enjoyed listening to when I grew up.
Yeah, like your roots.
On it, yeah, but how did I get into hip hop? Being from Butler, it's really non-existent there.
Yeah, like
as far as there's people that listen to rap, for lack of better word. It's a majority white place. There's not a lot of black people there to really have any type of hip hop scene.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Especially back then.
Absolutely, for sure.
That's and I don't like my house. I didn't even get BET there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it was like,
how are you getting exposed to shit?
So, I remember like rap music being on MTV, and I remember like Fat Boys videos on Nickelodeon.
I don't even remember that.
When I was really young. I think that was the first rap video I ever saw. Was like this. It was like a Fat Boys commercial or something, and they had a little segment on Nickelodeon. That was, and then like fast forward to fifth grade, and that's when it started getting more mainstream with like, well, Wu-Tang came out, Tribe Called Quest came out, and then like you had the West Coast shit, Dr. Dre and Snoop. That shit was all coming out like right around the same time, and I was like in fifth grade, and I remember listening. The only way I could get the music, because they had the parental advisory stickers back on there.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
You had to get a parent to go in with you to get the music.
Absolutely.
And my parents were like, nah, like if we if we have to like be there for you to get it, then you don't need to have it. You know what I mean? So I mean, my parents are cool for the most part, but honestly, like I listen to like Snoop Dogg's first album now, and I'm like, I can't believe I was listening to shit when I was in fifth grade.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
It's crazy, dude. Like
I talk about it all the time. My brother was 6 years older than me, so he was always the filter. He always exposed me to all the shit. I remember him coming home with a No Limit Soldiers tape with the big ass tank on it. And I just remember listening to like fucking all these songs, and they're just like rapping about fucking drugs and bitches and like, you know, slapping hoes and shit. And you're just like, I was probably third grade, and I was like, I probably shouldn't be listening to this, but I obviously wanted to.
Yeah, it's surprising. I mean, you know, there's still a lot of crazy stuff I see on YouTube that
That's like, I guess that's a
coming out
good
with
point.
nowadays too. But so that was like my introduction to rap. It was more like watching like a gangster movie or something. You know,
Yeah.
it's like like watching Goodfellas or something as a kid with all this imagery and like that. I would see everything in my head. The one song that did like grip me as like art hip hop was Phife Dawg on Midnight Marauders, the song Problems, where he's talking about like his daily problems and his daily life. And I remember listening to that, and it painted the whole scene. It was like painted in my head, and I loved that. But I had to get the hip hop off of my friends' older brothers.
Yeah.
They would dub tapes for me off their brothers' CDs. And
That's
shit.
dope though. You got someone
But,
for it.
So that was like, you know, I wasn't like, oh, this is hip hop, I want to like be a part of this. That didn't happen yet. About in 7th grade, you know, this is mid-90s, I got into skateboarding. And there was only a handful of us in Butler that skated. It was like a real kind of like, you know, outlaw type of thing to be doing. And you know what I mean?
It was before it started popping off.
Oh yeah, we used to get made fun of, you know,
Really?
skater this, skater that, you know what I mean? Because we wore the big, huge pants.
Yeah,
and, like,
absolutely.
We dressed like the Beastie Boys basically back then, you know. And so with skateboarding, the pro skaters out in Cali and New York, in their skate parts, they would have a lot of like really cool music.
Always do.
Yeah, that I had never heard of, and I was so into skateboarding. I'd look up to these guys, and they would have like on 411 skate videos, they'd have little like, you know, the credits of what song it was and stuff.
Yeah.
And this kind of like the internet was sort of coming about back then too, and I used to look them up on this website called Sandbox Automatic, and I'd actually order stuff from there.
It was like you were able to order shit from there?
Yeah. This was like 97, like when I was able to start ordering this. So let's fast forward a little bit.
Yeah.
When I really got into it, but my you know, I had one of my neighbors was real into skateboarding, and he had a lot of really cool music and shit like that. And
Skating was the front runner of everything.
man,
It's nuts. Style,
Yeah.
music, any of the fashion shit. It's like they're always
they do it first.
ahead of the game, way ahead of their times. And then, you know, and usually the skaters don't give a fuck enough where they wear the shit that they want and they do the shit that they want in the beginning, and they take all the ridicule and everything, and then everyone else catches up to it.
Yes.
And you're like, you motherfuckers are so behind.
Yep. That's because fucking skating is it's like the most stylistic thing to watch. And motherfuckers genuinely look cool as fuck.
Yeah, and it's wild because you'll watch a skate video and you'll hear anything from fucking, you know, Gimme the Loot to like Neil Young to fucking The Cure. It's like any type of music you would ever want. Otis Redding, I think, was in one of them. You just hear every different style, and it seemed to be that like skateboarders were the original ones to not give a fuck and just like what they liked. Like they weren't really like I mean, I'm sure everyone got followers in there, but skateboarders were always the front runners of shit. They always were not afraid to like I grew up on skating myself. Like I always loved how they just didn't like, people just didn't give a fuck. They did whatever they wanted. They liked what they wanted.
Unapologetic style.
Unapologetic. That's a good way to describe
know
it
what I
for
mean?
sure.
So we could, you know, that started, and I was into punk rock and hardcore and stuff because there were shows that would happen in Butler. Obviously, there's no hip hop shows.
Yeah.
But I was into a lot of different types of music, and then I would say when I was 17, I mean, around like, you know, 96, 97, I got into, I heard some weird, like really weird, different hip hop, like, you know, Dr. Octagon by Kool Keith. This group Anacon that came out, which is Slug from Atmosphere, got his start in there.
Really? I never heard of them.
Yeah, they're really far out. They did really like
Anaconda.
Anacon.
Anacon.
Anti-con.
Anti-con.
Yes.
I've never heard of them.
Yeah, they're if their stuff now is like really, you know, a lot of it is like super left, but like it was like kind of hard back then. They had this really like all these abstract, crazy, poetic rhymes. And yeah, there was a lot of cool underground shit I was finding out about, towards, the end of my high school career.
Yeah.
And my homie brother Seamus, who I've done a lot of music with.
Yeah, I see that he's on your vinyl, right?
Yep. And I did the Galactic Brethren album with him too. But he played a big part in me getting into hip hop. He was from Pittsburgh, and he ended up moving, right behind my house. And
that's dope.
I got him into skateboarding, and he had like a lot of cool hip hop I'd never heard, and Gangstar and shit like that. And we kind of got into it at the same time. Actually, so what it really was I was into all the cool underground shit, and I watched Zoo York mixtape, the first Zoo York video.
Oh yeah,
which has a bunch of clips from Stretch and Bobbito show and shit in it. It's the rawest New York hip hop skate video ever.
I don't think I've ever seen that one.
Man, you gotta do yourself a favor. And
I
check
honestly
that out.
didn't even know about Stretch and Bobbito until they had that fucking documentary on Netflix. I didn't know anything about that, and I'm just like, fuck, that's insane.
Yeah. So in the beginning of that video, there's this DJ Rock Rada, rest in peace, from the Executioners. He does a DJ routine on 2 turntables.
The skate video?
In the beginning of the skate video.
Yeah.
He pops a tape in the fucking tape deck, presses record, and then he does a turntable routine. He does his famous LL Cool J Rock the Bells, juggles that single together.
Yeah.
And with the skating and shit, I was like, I want to do that shit. So I ordered 2 turntables.
Oh, really?
And a mixer. Seamus ordered 2 turntables and a mixer. We had the same shitty setup. He ended up getting a sampler mixer that had a 1-bank sampler in it. And we were like, we had messed around with freestyling a little bit, and like we wanted to start making beats. So we had some tape decks, the 1-bank sampler, and we would just loop drum breaks from like records we found.
Yeah.
You know what I
This
mean?
is in high school or out of high school?
This is shit. I think, I was 17, so this is like
Probably right at the end.
Yeah. Last year, I can't remember. I think it was either like 11th. The end. I think it was the end of 11th grade when that started happening.
Yeah.
But we used to be in his room for hours just fucking with that shit, and that was
Making
really
shit happen.
Yeah, it never went anywhere. But that's when I like got
You're earning your stripes.
That's when I got into it, and I was like, I want to do this stuff. And then I didn't, I found a couple people in Butler that like to smoke blunts and listen to hip hop.
Yeah.
And like, I just started one day just started freestyling.
Really?
After I smoked a blunt, and I remember people being like,
after I smoked a blunt?
Yeah, I was just blunted and just started rhyming to a beat, and like cats were like, yo, you got a cool rap voice.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but I just found out I could do it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you
kind of
just
had a knack for it.
kind of have to just get into it to figure out if you're doing it.
And it was all just fun and shit like that back then. And,
what else were you doing in high school? Just skateboarding type lifestyle? Just like, delinquent type shit?
I was actually a good kid until
I was actually a good kid.
I was a good kid until I slowed down skateboarding, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I was into like straight edge hardcore and shit, like just for no other reason than like I had fun not doing drugs.
Yeah.
I was friends with all the burnout kids. I was friends with everybody, but it just wasn't for me. It was just like I don't feel the need to get high ever, what I mean?
Sure.
And then started smoking weed and kind of quit skating a little bit, and that's when I got into like, I got kicked out my senior year just for being a fuck.
Yeah, for sure.
They were just like, I wasn't like, I had no interest in being at school.
Young idiot.
Yeah, and they were just like, if you don't want to be here, then go. I ended up getting my diploma a couple years later by going to they let me go to a community college and get at least I got my diploma.
Yeah, I mean, fuck it.
Yeah, the end of high school was a lot of, I moved out of my house as soon as I was 18 and like just went to the partying and that kind of took over.
But the hip hop has always been there.
That was always there. Yeah, that was always a loose like dream of mine.
Yeah. What was like the first shit that you were like that really like made you like want to start rapping? Like who were you taking notes from and shit?
Guru from Gangstar, all the members of Hieroglyphics, which is Del, the Funky Homo Sapien, OPO, A+, Pep Love, Tajay.
Did you see mid-90s?
I didn't see that yet, no.
Dell's in it.
Oh, that's crazy.
Dude, it's a wild movie. You should definitely check it out.
I gotta check it out, yeah, for sure. But yeah, Guru and cats like OPO from Hieroglyphics and Cool Keith and this group called the Arsonists from New York.
The Arsonists from New York.
The Arsonists, yeah. They were real, like, they were preachy about hip-hop, like, in a good way. They were really good. They had all kinds of crazy, wacky rhymes, but they were like, hip-hop is DJing, graffiti, MCing, you know what I mean? Like, that's what it's all about. And that kind of introduced me to that. That taught me about it. And then we were, 98, we started going to shows in Pittsburgh, trying to go to all the little hip-hop things that were going on. We were buying records at record stores, so we'd see flyers and then just show up at those shows. So,
what was the music scene like back then? Was there a lot of shit to go to?
Yeah, definitely. And they were a lot more populated, more sense of community. It seemed, I was still an outsider. I was coming from out of town and just like spectating on everything. But I remember seeing a lot of cool ciphers like pop off at the end of the shows, in the streets, like kind of how everybody imagines like the hip hop scene should be like.
Yeah,
and for me, coming from Butler, seeing that was like a whole new thing. Like I was like, damn, this is the shit. I love this shit. You know what I mean? For somebody that was around it a lot back then, it might not seem like.
Yeah, but if you didn't have that outlet up there, I mean, you're coming here and it's just like an overload of it almost.
Mm-hmm.
And
right.
Now while you're you moved out and you're like learning all this hip hop shit and like were your friends were like supportive of all this shit?
I have to add too. We did a couple skateboarding trips to New York City back when I was about 17, and I was able to go to Fat Beats and get some Stretch and Bobbito tapes that were coming out back then, and so I actually was like able to go to New York
and grab some
and get some shit from that too. So that played a big part, and we went to a hip hop show there too, as young kids,
You were mainly into the underground shit though.
Yeah, because all this shit, I'd heard for the longest time. It had its like limits for me. It was like cool and flashy and like
you talking about the mainstream stuff?
The mainstream shit. It was like I could only go so far to where I'm just like, all right, this is just like I said, it's like watching a movie. It was like some shit that I really am not a part of.
Yeah.
So when it got into more like the formula of hip hop and what it's really all about, I was really interested in that type of shit.
The more complex shit.
Yeah.
Were you fans of like the big names like Biggie and Tupac and shit?
Little bit. Definitely Biggie. And yeah, man, I wasn't super into it back then, but definitely always loved Biggie's flow. I always liked what Tupac was saying. But the underground stuff that really spoke to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, and that's stuff that like that's probably my my least knowledgeable lane is like I don't know a lot of the underground shit. I had a buddy named Kevin who he was real into like the hip hop shit and like he tried to do the DJ shit for a minute, but he always like brought out all this wild shit, dude. Like all this wild music that like he's the one who told me about the Stretch and Bobbito shit, and like I would have never known about any of this shit. Gangstar, I think he told me about. I don't even know how to describe it. I was trying to like describe the subgenre to like my wife and shit like that, because like we talk about anyone that's coming on here, and I was like he's a rapper, hip hop artist, but it's not like your typical shit. You know what I mean? You're more of, I would consider you more of like a, I don't know, dude. I was trying to put my finger on it, but it's difficult. You seem to be like cultured in the artistic type shit, but it's not just like what's a good way to put it? The mainstream shit is like a good way to like get your name big fast, and like you've been into the underground shit for so long, and you've been doing this shit for so long. It's like you're more like honorable with your shit. It's like you could be like selling out and shit like that, and doing like what's like real popular that can just like get out there. But it seems like you stick to your roots and like you kind of have like values that you keep to.
I appreciate that, because I mean that's It is what it is, pretty much. And
yeah, I mean, it
I
is
just
what
like
it
I
is.
like making shit that I like, or that I would want to listen to.
Yeah.
I can't say like I love every single thing I've done because I try to challenge myself sometimes and do different, like write a little differently or do some other subjects. But I really like the visual rhymes and the rhymes that they paint abstract stuff in your head, and it's about real stuff, but it's not so direct to where you hear it when you're like, okay, I got it, and I don't want to listen to it anymore. I got the point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like I was saying, like I was trying to like rewind shit and kind of like cut apart all your verses and like hear what you're actually saying. I've always been someone who's never. I've enjoyed music, but I don't know. I've listened to Ready to Die 100 times, and I don't know all the lyrics still. It's like I've never been able to be someone who like retain lyrics, and like I try to dissect shit now. I used to be just like a whole project, just like digest that whole thing, but now I want to like try to dissect shit and see how people think about things and see how people go about creating what they want to create. You seem to have like you have a lot of references. Were you into like film and shit like that back in the day? Like, were you watching a lot of movies and shit?
Not, yeah, I was. Nothing like super out there. I mean, I was always into like weirder stuff. From what I had access to. Nowadays is the most I've been into films. I a lot of the B-roll horror stuff and B-roll action shit. I watch a lot of that crazy garbage.
That's all right, though.
I don't know if the videos that I've done where I do the B-roll movies.
Yeah, that's where I was trying to circle into. Like, I saw that video that you sent me. It was the cocktail, and it's cocktail, but it's like cut up a little bit like that, and it got like your own production behind it.
Yeah.
Like where do you even get like
that? So there's one I did before that, which was called Shadow Zone. I don't know if you checked that one out. That's where I spliced together a lot of like B-roll stuff with explosions and everything. But I was I'd always check out weird VHS tapes back in Butler. We had a video store down the street from our house, and they had all kinds of kooky horror stuff, and I would watch a lot of it over at Seamus's house.
Were you was that Shadow Zone, was that the one that was like it had no vocals to it? It was just like a bunch of like different clips and everything like that?
No, that one's got vocals to it.
What's the one that that it was on your YouTube page? It's just like a bunch of like it's not like you rapping any verses. There's just like a bunch of different shit on there. It's just like an audio production, I would say. It's not a video or nothing. It was just like the cover art, and it just played through.
Oh! I think that was the We Grew Slow.
That's
beat
it.
project.
That's it.
I put out a beat tape at the end of last year of just my production, like slower. Like,
see, that's creative shit. That's like it's different. It's very, very different. It's not like anything of like the ordinary type shit you hear out on the radio now. You know what I mean? And it's that cocktail thing was funny. I was watching all that, and I did not expect what it was. I was like, I wonder what this could be.
Honestly, so I'll tell you exactly how that happened. I do production. I make beats and shit. That's what I started doing. I'm more known for rhyming, but I spend a lot of time making beats and shit. And I do beat somebody. I'll get booked to do just a beat set. Yeah, and I do those at Beerport sometimes. I got one coming up, Beerport in Lawrenceville. I got one coming up in April as well. This last one I did, I had my homie Travis Ayers, who is.
Why do I know that name?
He works for Row House Cinemas. He's a definitely a film guy, definitely a movie dude.
I think I follow him on Facebook.
Probably, yeah, probably.
I think so.
So he's into all that wacky shit too. He's a lot more knowledgeable than I am about stuff when it comes to that. I know a decent amount of things, but he knows, he's the film guy. So and I'm into like VHS tapes. So is he. So he set up some TVs and a VCR and was actually playing tapes live for the audience while I was playing beats.
Okay.
And he had kind of like clips that he picked out beforehand, and he was playing, and one of them was the movie Cocktail, which I hadn't fucking seen since I was a little kid.
That's my shit. It is.
And I couldn't see the TV because the TV was facing. It was like kind of in front of me, facing the crowd, and I was like above it, behind it, so I couldn't see what was going on. My girl, and the beat that I used for that video, I had made the night before, just fucking around, and I decided to keep it. I played it there from my MPC, and he happened to be playing Cocktail. I didn't know, but my girl filmed that moment, and it was right when fucking TC's flipping bottles and shit, and it was, my beat was playing, and I was like, all right.
It kind of synced up.
Yeah, I was like, Travis, let me get that tape, man. So,
yeah, it's definitely it goes together, like it fits together well.
Yeah, it was just, I was cracking up while I did that. I like, I do a lot of like serious type of shit, but I like goofy shit too. You know what I mean? Like,
now that you say that, it's like a lot of your videos are they're heavy. Like you got heavy lyrics, you got a heavy message behind the shit, but then you have some other stuff that's like you can tell you're just having fun with it. You're just enjoying it, which is it's super cool to see that, because like you can tell you're serious about the shit that you want to be serious about, but you're also like doing the main goal is like having fun with what you're doing. Now, what's like your process? You're coming up. I'm gonna rewind it a little bit. Like after high school, shit like that, you're getting into the hip hop. Like, what's the process of you taking the next step to like kind of further your rap career?
The process was honestly, I got, I talk about the partying thing. I kind of got sucked into that, man, and I had to go through a lot of bad shit.
Yeah.
A lot of wasn't misfortune, because it was just I went down a pretty dark path there. The classic Western PA small town type of thing, got fucked up in the game. And the hip hop was just, I was always still into hip hop, but you can only do so much when you're living that type of life. And
that was always a constant, though.
The hip hop? Yeah, from 16, 17, when I really got into it, it was like I was just like, I dove into hip hop, but senior year, not senior year, but what do you call it when one more year left?
Oh yeah, sophomore year.
Yeah, the sophomore. From the time it was like sophomore, I dove into that shit.
Or junior year.
Junior, yes.
I don't even fucking remember.
Yeah. But yeah, that was like, I kind of like, that was, I made my identity with that. But then I also got bad into the substance shit, Didn't expect that to happen, but that lasted for a good while. And
you didn't expect it to happen?
The substance shit.
Yeah, you didn't expect it?
Nah.
It's like, how does someone get involved with, like, how did you get sucked into that? Just people you're around?
Yeah,
and obviously you don't have to talk about anything.
Oh no, right? I'm totally, I don't mind talking about that. I don't want to, put more information out there than people are comfortable hearing.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm open about it, and if you really listen to my music, I talk about it quite a bit.
Yeah, you could definitely tell that like you have some psychedelics references and shit like that.
Yeah, there was fun times. The psychedelic stuff was some of the fun times. I don't really, I can't say I regret any of it, but there were some times I should, for me still being here is definitely a blessing. I'll just put it that way. Like I said, classic, small town, suburb type of drug stuff.
Yeah.
Western PA, starts with the oxys and then, you go down. It was, it starts out, a lot of drinking and field parties out in Butler and having, fun. And then you start, you do something, fuck it, I'm gonna do a line of coke. You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
that
it
classic,
just keeps going.
It just evolves. You get more comfortable being around like people you wouldn't have been around before, and it just becomes kind of like an everyday thing. And you're just living to have fun, and then it starts to become
a problem,
a damaging thing. And before you know it, years go by too really fast. So, basically, like I say that to answer your question about what, I started in high school fucking with beats and all that and freestyling, and then there's like, I'm this old now.
Yeah.
It's like what happened how did that progress to where I'm at now with hip hop?
Yeah.
That, like I said, that was always a loose dream of mine of like, I want to like do the hip hop shit like for real, but that takes discipline, and I wasn't ready for that.
You're a young dude.
I was more into just fucking around. I got lost in that. And it wasn't until 2008. So we can go the whole 10 years.
Yeah.
Of that dumb shit. I moved around. I lived in Columbus, Ohio during those years. I went to a lot of hippie festivals. All good, Nelson's Ledges, and just because that shit was fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
What I mean? And that was some of the fun times. You know what I'm saying? Experiencing that whole thing. But I was kind of drifting around a lot. You can only do so much at that point. And then when I really had to get my shit together, because it just became a life or death thing. Like,
for sure, dude.
Clean. I got to clean it up, or I ain't gonna make it too much longer.
Absolutely.
And when I finally got my head on straight. Taken out of society, I did the whole, halfway house thing and all that.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, I'm done with all that shit, and I'm not going back. And now was the time to fucking do what I always wanted to do.
Buckle down and get it going.
So I got, I started saving up money. I got an MPC, which is the beat machine I always wanted. I had a little room. I lived with a bunch of dudes. Just had my own bedroom and just started going to record stores again when I could on the bus.
Yeah.
Lived out in Beaver County, making beats. I just started writing again, and here I am now still.
When you were in the thick of all this negative shit, were you still like actively like writing and making beats and creating things? Or that kind of just paused a little bit?
I would DJ some places. I would play records and shit like that at people's like little fucking birthday parties or something, and I would freestyle, and that's about it, man.
Yeah, it wasn't like an actual like nothing with construction around it.
Absolutely not. No.
So 2008's rolling around, and you get all your shit cleaned up, and you have all this like you're starting to make progress into what you wanted to eventually become. I mean, you're listening to underground shit anyway, so like I probably wouldn't. Know
I already like had my lane picked out.
Yeah.
You know where I want to do. I want to just pick up where I was, basically.
Pick up where you left off. That's for sure. So what were your moves? You're just fucking with this MPC shit. Like, how are you learning this? Just fucking around with it?
I learned the MPC back when I was in the shit. I was actually on house arrest, and Seamus was he was in high school, or I'm sorry, he was in college in Ohio.
Yeah.
And he ended up getting an MPC, and he was visiting, I think, his dad in Pittsburgh, and he swung by my parents' house where I was on house arrest at the time, showed me how to work the MPC, and dropped it off, let me have it for, a few months. So I remembered.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just figured it out again, got as many records and samples as I could, and it was writing to my own beats.
Yeah.
So I grew up with these two cats, DJ Blacklisted and Connect. He goes by different form now. They actually went to Butler, and I always kept in contact with DJ Blacklisted. He was one of my oldest friends since like 12. They lived down here, and they were doing hip hop shit. They had a little group that they did.
Yeah.
So I linked up with them immediately.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, hey, remember me?
You had some friends in there.
Yeah. Because they remembered me from high school, and we used to all listen to hip hop together and shit. And I was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
I went over to DJ Blacklist's house, and he didn't really know I was rapping like I was. And he put a beat on, and I just fucking went in. And he was like, damn, we're doing shows at the Smiling Moose. Like, we have I don't know, they had like a monthly or something back then. And he's like, you want to do a show? Get up on stage, we can make that happen.
Were you ever like a nervous type person? Like getting on stage and shit?
Not at that point. And I had been on stage once when I was like 18. We went to this hip hop thing and tried to do this little rap routine that we had and just got booed off the stage. So like I had one experience, and it was when I was still in high school. And
it was a negative experience.
It was like towards Newcastle, and it was all these Newcastle dudes and like a few people from Butler, and you could come and sign up and spit, and like we just had somebody beatboxing, and we just all did these just verses. We didn't have a structured song,
and people weren't feeling it.
Nah, we were the odd. It was during that it was like the underground stuff, and then there was all the like flashy shit that was going on back in like '98, and they were all on that. We were definitely like the hip hop nerds showing up.
Yeah, like the gatekeepers of the.
So that was my only experience. But so the first time I was gonna like get on stage, I can't say I was nervous, because I've always been a pretty nervous dude, but like I think I just knew that like, okay, like if you're gonna do this shit like now this late in the fucking game,
gotta go into it.
You just do, like, why be fucking afraid?
Yeah, so for sure.
I learned a lot from that too, because I just did not allow myself to feel that. I was
even think about it. You're just like, I'm up there and I'm doing it.
No, you don't get nervous. I practiced my verses like, I beat it into my head, beat all the
time
in my head. So
were you like in the mirror doing it and shit like that, trying to like get the look down and shit?
Possibly.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, I was
100%.
I was alone in my room practicing the rhymes over and over and over and over.
Bro, I did stand up, and I was just in front of a mirror, just doing it 100 times, recording it on my phone, and I'm sitting there thinking like, you look like a fucking idiot, like looking in the mirror. But that's just what it is. That's the reps. You got to get fucking reps.
Yeah. So I made sure I was foolproof on that, and then I was just like, just fucking do it, man. You used to rap in ciphers, and you had the energy. And
was your style always like how it is, like complex?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was always.
Yeah,
because like I mean, that's the way I would use to describe it. It's like you have a lot of like big vocabulary in there. You use a lot of like wild ass like references and shit like that. It's just a complex style. And I didn't know if that was something you developed over time, or if that's just something that you kind of like, you had a base of it, but you just kind of shined it up over the years.
Yeah, pretty much, man. It was, like I said, I kind of picked up where I was. And I'm not saying like I was like born to be a fucking rapper or anything, but it was never, it was like I just
came natural to you.
I just try to like worry about, the subject matters and like where I'm taking people, rather than like all the other stuff just kind of comes there. And, yeah, so I just never allowed myself to be nervous, basically. But that, before I get on stage, I pace around a lot and stuff, because I get that adrenaline.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's not like, I've never never forgot my rhymes or anything like that. You know what I mean? There's like, I'm not worried about that. And I have fun when I perform, and I really fucking like. I put everything I have into it, and it's definitely a huge release for me.
Yeah, you can tell that.
I'm a hyperactive person. I got a lot of pent up, nerves, and being on stage and releasing that is just it was just always not easy, but it just was like it just is what it is.
That was your escape.
Plus, I abstained from any substance use for about 5 years.
Yeah.
So I couldn't even.
What's that like to be in a hip hop world? Everyone's around smoking blunts, drinking and shit like that. What's it like?
It wasn't that, I guess I was, it wasn't really that hard, because it was just something that
you were ready to be done.
I knew that like that's where I needed to be at that. I didn't ever want to like go back to that. Now I do. Now I drink. Again, and that was a hard decision, not a hard decision, but that was something I thought about a lot before I did. I wouldn't recommend.
To make sure you were all right.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend that to anybody or anything as far as doing, but having a couple beers before I go on definitely helps the nerves. But I used to just white knuckle it. I went on little tours with my group, Fortified Phonetics, the only motherfucker not drinking.
Oh yeah,
shows. So we'd have to like, we'd do a show with some locals, and everybody's partying, and like we got to stay on their fucking floor at their house later that night, and like
You're the only one.
dead sober the whole time. It's not hard. It wasn't hard for me, but it was just like, it's a test of like,
Yeah.
do you really want to be doing this?
Yeah, for sure.
And I did. So
That's a good point. It's a test. That's a good way to look at it for
'cause
sure.
People if you're sober at a bar, motherfuckers start to get really annoying when you're not, when you're the only one.
Dude, I never drank growing up, but I was always around. Like all my friends they were always partiers. I would always go to parties and shit like that. But like, I was a dude that was just chilling there, like with my boys. But like, everyone's just fucked up. So that's why, like, I'm an adult now. I don't give a fuck. I will not go to a bar. Like you can't catch me dead down Southside in Mario's or something like that. I'd rather fucking get beat with a bat. But I just can't be around like people like that. It's annoying as fuck to me.
Yeah, it's a waste of time and money for the most part.
But I get it. I get people like to drink and shit like that. I mean, I'm not faulting that. It's just like I can't be around the people that are just like fucked up because like that's just they're looking through a different set of glasses than you are. It's like I'm not having that same feel that you're having right now.
Exactly. Yeah. So that was I wouldn't have it any other way though. Just starting off and dead sober. All these shows and like I really had to just
discipline.
Yeah, I had to go through it and just like
You were touring around?
Yeah, we nothing like giant national tours, but we'd put together like 6 or 7 cities.
That's what's up. How was that to tour around?
Great.
Got to be fun.
Yeah, for sure. I've done that a handful of times. I hit the road with one of my homies usually at least like 1 year. I don't do a lot of the booking. They usually do it, and they're like, "Do you want to hop along?" And I'm fuck yeah. But back when we after that first time I did the show with those dudes, we decided to form a group. It was me and DJ Blacklisted and Connect. Me and Connect rap, and we all made beats. And Blacklisted did live turntables. So we were definitely like a nice little hip hop unit. And they were really into the DIY circuit of bringing you get with social media, it's made it really easy to do little tours because you hit up somebody, somebody from Buffalo will hit up somebody from Pittsburgh. Hey, do you know of any shows I could jump on?
Okay.
Like in March, you're like, let me help you out with that, and then you'll rent the venue and throw the show. And then they can crash on your couch.
That's what you meant by DIY. Yeah, like you make shit happen yourself.
Yeah, so do it yourself. And so we were doing a lot of that where they were doing most of it. I didn't do a whole lot of booking, like I said, but I did a lot of we did flyering around the city hardcore. We tried to make, we made those shows as good as we could, and a lot of people would hit us up. Can you get it? Can we're doing a little tour? Can you get us a show here and there? And we do it, and then once you do that, those people, from Ohio or West Virginia, New York, they kind of unofficially they owe you a show a little bit. But not really, but you go to them when you want to come to their city.
Yeah. So scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
Right, and it's great. It works out great. If you want to do shows in other cities and you want to put in the work, you should definitely do it. Now with social media, it's so easy. I don't do that anymore because it's a lot of time and energy especially in Pittsburgh, to find a venue, to make sure there's somebody they're breaking off some money for the acts, and like it takes a lot out. And I like to do everything like as hard as I can. So if I throw a show for somebody, I'm gonna try to make it the fucking best show I possibly can.
Absolutely.
And that takes a lot.
Yeah, I mean, if you're creating something like I'm the same way. Like I try to do it the best I can, the way I want to do it, the best way it could be, like the most official way I could do it. I do have a question though. What do you think about the music scene in the city?
Ooh, least favorite question.
I know that it's a touchy subject, especially if you're a musician.
Well, so I think there's two sides to that question. If you ask the person that goes out to shows to see cool music in Pittsburgh, it seems like they say it's great.
Do they? Because I hear otherwise. I hear that Pittsburgh is a terrible music city because like people, you know, I saw DJ Spills. You know who that is?
Yes, I know Spills.
DJ Spills just put a tweet out that said that Wu-Tang is not stopping here. And a couple other big name artists are not stopping here, and it's usually like that's the fit for Pittsburgh. No one really stops here.
Yeah, I've seen Wu-Tang here numerous times.
Yeah, well,
no, you're right. That they'll get a Cleveland show before Pittsburgh.
Absolutely.
My answer to that is historically, I mean, Pittsburgh did have a really important jazz scene. Back in the day, that's overlooked a lot. So historically there has been music here, but as far as like big budget stuff, you know, I feel like there's just not always a guaranteed market for somebody that has a big overhead.
Yeah,
like if Wu-Tang's, if they want a certain amount of money to play, and the venue doesn't think that many people are going to come out.
Exactly.
Like, you know, they can't pay it. So that's on like for mainstream acts and stuff. I don't know. I guess it's not the greatest, but I've seen a lot of good shit.
Yeah, there's definitely been good shit here, but like, you know, like you said, a lot of bands will go to Cleveland. Like Cleveland is a big city and shit like that, and they always get like touring acts there. Like a lot of people from Pittsburgh got to drive up there, even for comedians and shit like that. It's like that's like a hub up there. But Pittsburgh kind of like, you know, we get some shit, but it's kind of like washed over a little bit.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'm not. You know. It's because it's a small city too, really, and it's a drinking and football town. You know what I mean? And
that's a good point.
You know, I just feel like the budget is
a big factor of what it is.
Working class city, all around. So you know, a lot of those bands' budgets just might not be doable for the venues.
What about smaller acts? Like underground shit.
Yeah. So like, and the reason I said like if you ask like consumers of music and stuff about, you know, the music scene in Pittsburgh, I read sometimes like on the internet. I just read some girl talking about moving. I don't remember why I was looking at this, but it was her thoughts on Pittsburgh. She was like, I was, you know, I didn't think Pittsburgh was cool, but then I moved here and I had like a stigma against it, but then I found like a great local music scene. And blah blah blah, and I was like, okay, well, you know, and there's a lot of cool local stuff going on. I've been a part of a lot of cool local music fests and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But if you ask an artist, especially underground hip hop or aspiring hip hop people,
yeah,
you're gonna get a skewed answer. As far as like how well they've been received in the local scene. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of times they're going to say like, oh, the local scene sucks. But it's because people ain't fucking with them. You know what I mean?
That's a good way.
Or they could be like, oh, the local scene's great. Because
that's a good point.
They just, you know, happen to have like a lot of friends that come out to their shows.
Yeah.
So
what's your opinion of it?
My opinion, I think it's
and I understand if you don't want to like say.
No. I'm not really sure like how I feel about it anymore, to tell you the truth. I think it's like I just have to look at like I've been accepted pretty much I've played it like every place you can play at.
Yeah.
At least once. You know, from the big I haven't played at Stage AE, but I've played at fucking the Three Rivers Arts Fest. I played at the fucking Rex and Mr. Smalls.
Shadow Lounge,
absolutely. Yeah. You know, shout out to Justin Strong. Spirit is a fucking dope place, man. They're
doing crazy shit there.
Such a dope music venue. That's the type of place that if it went out of business, everybody would be talking about how great it was.
You got a show on Thursday there?
Yes, I do actually. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, and I've had like, you know, I've played, and when we used to do we would book a lot of shows ourselves. I hated the music scene because a lot of times you don't get crowds to come out.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? I was like, oh, Pittsburgh
you do all that
sucks,
work and
you
like
know? Yeah. And then you'll go to other cities and it'll be kind of the same thing.
I mean, even though like I wouldn't. Hardo is obviously not an underground rapper, but whenever I was working at Threads, he had a show at Spirit, and it was like his big homecoming show, and like not too many people came out, and it's like it's obviously not because he ain't good, because the dude's fucking mean, and he got a good following, and that's the reason I ask a lot of the people that do music, because you know, like you said, if it's someone from a spectator point of view, I could say whatever I want, but you know, my view's skewed. I don't go out, I don't go see a lot of shows. It got to be something I absolutely want to see. But from an artist's point of view, I feel that it could be, you know, you guys could shed some light on some other shit. Mm-hmm. And it was shocking to see, you know, people filled in at the end, but in the beginning there wasn't barely people there.
Yeah, I've seen that go both ways.
Yeah,
for cats. Like I said, is you know, my opinion changes a lot judging by what I see. I would say it's you know, for a small city like Pittsburgh is, I'd say it's about as good as you can expect.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, because you only have like, and I didn't go to high school in Pittsburgh, and you know, I've really only been like in here for however long, and like I already fucking know everybody.
Yeah.
It didn't take long.
Yeah, it's really not too big now.
I see the same people everywhere I go, and it's a small town city, so I mean that you're gonna get, you know, small town music scene pretty much. It's hit or miss. A lot of people, you know, they want to go where the girls are, they want to go where the drink specials are, they want to like they want to watch the Pens if they're playing at the bar rather
100%.
than rather, you know, I've done shows when the Pens have been playing a big game and like
you're fucked.
Oh yeah, ain't nobody watching.
Ain't no one watching you, dude. It's fucked.
But I mean, would it be like that in Philly?
Yeah, I mean,
possibly.
I'm sure it's like I'm sure people have the same type of, you know, opinions about it wherever they live. Now, you know, a question popped in my head. What do you think about like? Do you think that people like Wiz Khalifa and Mac Miller had a big effect on like the music scene, like growing back to what it was? Like, do you think it was bigger back then, or do you think it's bigger back now? Do you think it was more real back then compared to now? Because right now, I feel like shit is like clicky. Anytime I see shit online of like different artists, because like working at Threads, like I meet everyone there, and I would see the different artists and how they like the statuses they post and everything, and shit just seems clicky. Like everyone's just out there for themselves and they don't want to work together and like kind of build together rather than just like they're competing against each other.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, hip hop's, there's always a slight competitive thing to that too.
Yeah.
You know, it in its nature, hip hop's competitive. It's not as competitive as it was, I would say.
No,
you know, no, because like at shows, you know, back in the day, it was like there was a lot more like bravado when you were on stage, and cats would possibly boo you.
Yeah,
that shit doesn't really happen now.
Yeah,
a lot of stuff's more accepted. You know,
yeah,
what
like
I'm saying?
like back then, it was like people were more critical of what you were doing.
Yeah, for sure. And like if you know. And if you weren't coming correct, somebody might be like, "Yo, that was whack," and like you might have to like battle them, like you might have to like rap battle them, or something, you know.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I guess
it's just tough in Pittsburgh to gig in your like what genre you choose. Like if you're sticking to like you want to do this kind of music, like. To think that you're going to be booked and paid to play places, to entertain people.
You can't be in it for the money.
Right. It's a pretty far-fetched idea.
It's a passionate thing. You're in it for your passion.
Yeah.
What about it for me and like so like the underground hip hop shit is obviously like, I mean, I would guess it's not as lucrative and easy to catch on than like the mainstream shit. And like, is that correct? Or
yeah.
So like, that's why I was saying before, like it's like honorable. Like the kind of shit that you're doing is like you seem to be in it as like a passionate type thing, because like, you know, people, it's harder for people to get exposed to, you know, genres like yourself. You know what I mean? People want to listen to fucking Drake and like Travis Scott. Everything is just fucking Travis Scott. Like, hey, like, you know what I mean?
Right,
Like,
yeah.
it's just like, that shit is dope. Like, I admit that, like, I fuck with it, but like, you know, there's not as much substance. Like, there's not as much feeling in the lyrics. Like, look at fucking Gucci Gucci by Lil Pump. That fucking song caught on fire.
Yeah.
And he says 5 words in the whole thing. But like you, if you listen to a track of it, it's like you're writing a book. Like you said, you're painting a picture with your words instead of just like yelling Gucci Gucci a bunch of times. It's like, is that discouraging for you for being like an underground rapper that's like, you know, trying to like make a name?
It used to be more so, but now it's just like, I look at the reality of it, and you know, people like what they like, and I can't, you know, my goal isn't to be the next, it was never to be the next big sensation.
Yeah.
You know, I've always looked at it like realistically, like, and you have to, or else you're going to be pissed off and disappointed, and you're going to say the music
salty.
scene, you're going to say the music scene sucks.
Yeah.
It's terrible because people don't like love your
It's a
shit.
good point.
But, I mean, and you know, I look at it like, you know, like I said, I make what I like, and my shit is a little more, I guess, like 90s than current.
Absolutely.
You know, so the people that really love that music, which is the younger audience, they ain't trying to hear that the shit that their parents listen to.
Yeah.
You know, and neither would I be.
Yeah.
At all. Like I grew up listening to my dad play classic rock and shit, and I love all that shit, but I wanted, like, I heard punk rock and I was like, I like this shit. This is not what that is.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and you know, parents would be like, oh, it's just screaming and it's just noise. We're like, fuck you, it's fucking not that, you know.
Absolutely.
So that's why I feel like a lot of that stuff, the more grittier, like current, like even like mumble type of stuff, is like, that's just that generation's like, fuck you to us. And I fuck with that because that's you got every generation's got to have
going against the grain.
movement that they're like, that everybody hates, and that's what they're gonna go towards. So for me to, you know, critique that and say it's whack and blah blah blah, it's like, yo,
you fuck with some of the newer stuff?
Not so, I mean, it's not for me.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I respect it.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I really had like the more like purist, like, oh, that shit's garbage, blah 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 view until I started doing shows out of town. And I remember doing a show in Baltimore, and we were right in the thick of Baltimore, and we were the only like boom bap type of hip hop cats there, and they showed us mad love.
Oh, really?
And they loved it. They're like, yo, man, I wish, like, you know, that's dope. I love like your style and the lyrics and shit. And like, we were freestyling with them outside. And these are all, you know, Baltimore kids, real Baltimore kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Younger cats. We parked there, and the cops were like, we know you guys aren't from around here. How long are you going to be here? Because your car's going to get broken into. We just want you to know that, you know, you might want to move it to this place where it's not going to get broken into. And this is like right outside. So we were in Baltimore.
Yeah.
And they were on like that current shit. And man, these kids, like, we were up on the top floor of this venue, and that whole place was literally shaking when they went on. Like, jumping, shaking, like, I was like, damn, this floor is going to collapse. You know what I mean? Motherfuckers had their shirts off, wilding out. They were selling like art on the side. You know what I mean? And like staying out of trouble. And they had a nice community there, and it was based on like that wave. And I was like, hats the fuck off.
Yeah,
you know
for
if
sure.
That's not hip hop, then I don't know what the fuck is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I mean, I understand that there's like a lot of dumbed down shit out there and everything, but it was too when I, from an older person's perspective, back when I was listening to what I was listening to, it seemed dumbed down to them too.
Yeah.
You know,
everything just progresses.
Yeah, and there's still, and there's a ton ton of underground boom bap type of shit that still comes out.
Yeah, and I think that it's just like, I'm not like digging for shit like that. Like, I honestly don't listen to crazy amount of music no more. I stick to the same shit that I've always been listening to. My playlist today was just all fucking B White shit. It had some Jimmy Wapo on it, and then it had fucking Bone Thugs and Harmony. Like, I was just running all this shit over and over. So like, I'm not really like digging for new things, but I'm sure that there's stuff out there.
Oh yeah, they're definitely like, man, 2018, 2019, amazing year for like good hip hop coming out. I heard so much shit, and I'm just like, word,
it's good, and it's good quality shit,
super good.
Now, what about like now in your world of underground hip hop and shit? Obviously, I'm not educated on any of it, so forgive my terminology, but part of it being underground is like you guys are in the trenches trying to like climb out of that. It reminds me of like graffiti. There's so many graffiti artists around that are so fucking good. Like, I know so many good ones, but that no one knows who they are, because like that's the that's what it is. That's the way it is. That's the code.
Yeah,
it's like they're doing it for the passion of it. They're doing it to get out there and fucking do it. They're not doing it for the likes on Instagram and shit like that.
Absolutely.
It's like very passionate. So like that's the first thing I think of whenever I think of like, the underground hip hop shit like you, because like, I could, any one of my friends that listen to the Travis Scott shit like that, I could drop your name. No one will fucking know who you are.
They'll
It's
say,
like,
what did you just my name's weird as fuck too.
Star Wars, right?
What? Boom bang ding dong? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, so your name is Moemaw Naedon, right?
Moemaw Naedon.
Naedon.
Yes.
That's from Star Wars?
Yes.
Okay, so I can't remember. I think
He did tell you, because I listened to it.
yeah, because I was like, how the fuck did that name come up?
I heard him spill the beans.
But I'm sorry if that was like a secret.
No, it's all good.
How did you come up with that?
Okay, so yeah, that's a good question. So I was into Star Wars, the original Star Wars.
Yeah.
Growing up, little kid, as a lot of kids were my age, and then like in high school, I got into like the books.
Oh, really?
Because they re-released the movies in theaters, and when they did the special edition, I think I was in like 9th, 10th grade or something when they did that, and that was cool to go to the movies and see them again. And they put action figures out, and I like got back into it heavy, and I was like, I went and got the books and was reading like about like things that would happen, like in between each movie, and what happened after Return of the Jedi, and like. The one book I read, like damn near all of them that came out back then. It was dope. I was real into Star Wars. And Tales from the Mos Eisley Cantina, that book has the stories of all those weird aliens you see in that scene.
Oh, really?
The Mos Eisley Cantina scene in the first Star Wars movie. And one of the aliens, that was his name, and he had the coolest story
With the long head.
Yes. Yep. And so when I used to then like a year later, like I was freestyling, and I just went by Moemaw Naedon, just fucking around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then when I started making shit serious again, I was always in contact with Seamus, brother Seamus. That's been my brother, since we met. And I remember being like, yeah, man, like he was doing hip hop because he moved to New Orleans. He was doing really good, cool hip hop. And that inspired me because he was still doing it, and I was like inspired, and I was like, "Yo, man, I'm getting back into it." And like, I remember talking. I don't know if it was on the phone or in person, but I was like, "Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out my rap name." He's like, "Yo, Moemaw Naedon is your rap name." You know, remember? I was like, "Yeah, I know." I don't know. I wasn't really feeling the fucking prequels. Like, I don't like the way Star Wars went. Like. At all.
It's understandable.
He's like, nah, just keep that name. So I just kept the name, and then I added the E's just in case.
Yeah.
George Lucas wants to show
Came
me,
after you.
Yeah, so
Come after you for your neck.
Yeah. But yeah, so I just fucking.
You were into Star Wars though, pretty heavy.
Yeah. I can't.
Can I ask? Can I get off this music for a second and ask you
man.
what was your experience being a kid and having these movies come out? Because obviously I was, I just watched them from watching them because of my brothers and shit.
Yeah. Well, my grandparents and my cousin lived in New York, and I would go visit them, and that's about the time they were coming out. Like,
were they huge?
oh yeah, they came out before I was born, I think. See, I forget the dates, but I think the first one came out like fucking 79 or something. But I was, maybe not. I don't know. But I was very, very little, very young when they were actually like coming out, and my cousin was like 3 years older than me, and your older cousin's like the coolest dude.
Absolutely,
every time. You know what I mean?
Any older figure,
yeah, and he had all the toys, man, and like so I was doing whatever he was doing.
You were exposed, young.
And so I got into it, and then
I guess
I always remembered it. I just loved it back then.
That
I had
makes
the
sense.
fucking Ewok Village and shit.
Yeah.
And then when they re-released them in the 90s, I was like, oh yeah, man, Star Wars was the fucking shit.
Yeah.
And I got right back into them. I was like, this, shit was just, it was cool.
What do you think about episode 1, 2, and 3 and like the 90 other ones they're coming out with now? Do you watch any of them anymore? I haven't watched anything after I think it was The Last Jedi, whenever Rey walked up and saw Luke.
Yeah, they're like remember how I said like,
the side stories.
Mumble rap isn't for me.
Yeah.
Because, it's like, that's what, I don't know. I feel like that's like the new hip hop of Star Wars.
That's a good way to look at it. Have you watched any of them?
Yeah, I watch all. I like the prequels. Like that was rough, man. That was going because I was really excited about that, and then I remember going to the movies and like
being let down.
I was like, Jesus, they made this shit. I don't know how to describe it because people always want to have this debate with me, and I'm just like, I don't know. They just didn't do it for me.
I hate how they're wringing everything out to their last drop. Like even fucking any type of movie, they're just like beating it to death. Like there's about 95 Spider-Man's out. It's like, what the fuck? Make a new movie. But what did you think about like episode 1 and shit like that? If you were someone that came up on the originals, what did you think about them other 3? Like Darth Maul, Phantom Menace, and all that shit?
Too many. It was like, I don't know. It was just too fucking cartoony.
Okay, so you didn't like those ones either?
No, I didn't like the CGI. I was excited when they came out, but I was just like, this doesn't...
Dude, people rip me apart because I love the Phantom Menace. People rip me apart.
I like things about it. I don't hate those movies, but for me to like pick a character out of them as like a rap name or like how much I like the old shit.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, I'm not into it like that at all. I really... I don't know. I liked the physical puppets, physical landscapes.
Yeah, dude, back in the day it was so much better.
Yeah, and they took a lot of fucking time to make those movies.
Perfect example is like the original Ninja Turtles. Like they're all in the costumes and shit like that. Now the new ones it's basically just watching Transformers.
Yeah.
But with just turtles on it. Your other beer's right there chilling for you. I thought you were reaching it and it was empty.
I was seeing what I got here.
But the Star Wars shit I was curious about because you're obviously a big fan of it.
Yeah. Well, not like I don't care if I'm a loyal fan or not, but it just like the new stuff didn't
do it for you.
I couldn't force it. My favorite. I still do. I like following the story, so I will watch them.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But it's not like I'm not a proud like Star Wars advocate of that. Like I got
like
sick of walking into fucking Family Dollar and everything's just like Star Wars. It just it's just
too much.
Not for me
anymore. Understandable.
I still fuck with with where I was at when when I really fucked with it. I still like that shit.
Understandable.
I will say the best out of since the prequels until now, my favorite is Rogue One by a long shot.
Yeah, that was definitely sick.
I like that one.
I mean, I don't know. I fell off of it all. I enjoyed the original ones just because like that was part of my youth. Like my brothers and my cousins were older, so like that was always something that was there. I was always getting lightsabers for Christmas and like the fucking all the toys and shit like that. So it was easy for me to like gravitate towards that. But it had to be wild. I always see pictures of like the premieres of all the Star Wars movies and like people lining up and shit like that. It had to be insane for what it was back then.
Yeah.
I think that people don't think enough about like how insane shit was back then compared to now. Everything's just so easy for us. Like if I want to Google some shit, you know, you got a fucking computer in your hand at all times. Yeah. So it's just everything comes easy. But back then it seemed like everything was just like you had to go a little bit harder for it. Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
And it was, you know, it was overblown pop culture too back then. I'm not saying I don't like it now just because it's popular. Yeah. But like it was cool for me to like it because it was old at the same time.
Yeah,
you know what
I
mean? Because it was like it was something from the past, and then you read the books to like keep that going.
Yeah.
So it was more you're like part of something that wasn't like around at that like anymore. I don't know.
That's dope.
Yeah,
that's dope for sure. Now, you put out when did you drop your first project?
First recorded project I ever dropped was 2012 with my group 4 to 5 Phonetics.
What was the receiving of that? How was it?
We had an album release party actually. We had Varsity Squad.
Oh yeah, BD, John Quest.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get BD on here forever. He's like fucking getting a shadow.
Right. I can't remember right now. I can't remember who the other acts were, but yeah, we had like 100 people who showed up to that show, man.
Really?
It was fucking yeah.
Where was it at?
Smiling Moose.
Damn.
And that was like
packed to the brim up in that place.
Yeah, we and you know that Varsity Squad was pumping at that point.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, cats came out for them and everything, but it was yeah, we did good. We sold a lot of CDs and it was well received.
Now that right there,
I listen to it now and I'm like, you know, that of course it's like, you know,
you have to critique the shit that you had before. It's
I wouldn't be putting that shit out nowadays, but it was enough to like
to start.
It was enough to spark it off and at least like let me know that there is an audience out there.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say.
It was enough encouragement to keep me going.
That's exactly what I was just going to ask you. Like because of that album release party, you having like a good, basically a good turnout of it all. Was it easier for you to like keep shit going and like kind of keep it rocking a little bit?
Absolutely.
I mean, if you're making shit and no one's listening to it or anything, like it's discouraging. Like I did a podcast before this 4 years ago, and there was no one in Pittsburgh listening to podcasts. So like it kind of it was easy to fall apart. But I made this now. Like anytime people were out there listening to it, people hit me up. Some dude hit me up and he was like, "This mailman just rolled on my porch." And I thought that I heard your voice, and I walked out and asked him, and the dude was listening to the fucking podcast.
Hell yeah.
I posted it, and the dude who followed me messaged me. He was like, that was me. And like that right there, dude, it reminds me of like a power meter on a fucking old video game. Just beams you right back up, and you're ready to work.
I mean, I honestly, like if there was nobody listening and giving me words of encouragement, like heartfelt shit, you know, I wouldn't still be doing it.
100%, dude.
Honestly, you know, I'd still be doing it in my spare time. I'd still be buying records at record stores and making beats and freestyling, but I wouldn't be like
investing your time and money into it.
My all to put it out there.
Absolutely.
You know, if it wasn't for the encouragement.
So 2012 is that, and now, did you do anything? Did you only do like CDs?
Yeah, we just did CDs that one.
Okay, so what's your next project after that? Because like you have vinyls out now. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at a fucking cassette tape, and you know I don't know too many people that have cassette players anymore, except for me. Like I whip that '92 Buick, and like all my cars have had some cassette tapes in it and shit. But like I like how people are bringing back the nostalgic feeling shit. You know, even though like records right now are definitely a little bit. The mainstream records are hipsterish. Boys are buying Travis Scott records and shit on fucking vinyl just to have them. But like realistically, a record is the most difficult medium to listen to music. It's like you can't choose just one song. You have to fucking commit to listening to the whole thing. It's like you're putting this on. This is a moment in time that you're going to sit down and dedicate to listening to this project. But it's interesting because like they're so popular now. Everyone's putting out vinyl.
Yeah, it never really left with vinyl. Honestly, the moment I fucking put the first thing ever out, people were like, "Yo, you got vinyl." But
Really?
that's also because of like the world that I'm in.
The underground hip hop
record. Well, I collect records. I buy records. I know a lot of people. I know DJs that still spin vinyl and shit. So it's skewed to vinyl anyway. But it's the most costly thing to definitely get made by a giant.
Oh, it is costly.
Oh yeah, by a long shot, it's the most expensive thing to do, and it's you got to really like, okay, if you want to put something out on vinyl and you want to do it right, it's a process, and you're not going to be able to release it for at least 4 to 6 months.
It takes that long.
Oh yeah.
So, all right, we'll get to that. In 2012, you dropped that project. What was your next project? How long?
2013, I put out Galactic Brethren, The Fall of Zydor with Brother Seamus. That we had actually started working on before I put the Fortified Phonetics thing out. And that was just me and Seamus reuniting when I officially started doing hip-hop again. And he had still been doing it in New Orleans.
Yeah.
His pops still live in Pittsburgh, so I was always good for Brother Seamus visit, like, every 1 to 2 years, and every time I'd see him, we'd put together a little track or something. So we had I think 4 loose tracks, and then he came back to Pittsburgh to house sit his dad's crib because his dad was going somewhere. So I was like, yo, man, I was landscaping at the time, and I was like, I'm just gonna bring my studio to your dad's house.
Yeah.
We're gonna make a fucking mic booth with some fucking blankets and shit, and like I brought my whole shit to this one room there, and I'd work all day and drive out to the South Hills from fucking like Penn Hills, and just get into it, and it evolved into a concept album.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It didn't start out that way. We kind of decided to take it in that direction. And
now, what was your thought process behind like you wanting to not use like a recording studio? It seemed like you guys were self-producing and self-creating all the shit that you were doing.
Yeah. The first verse I ever recorded was at Connect's house from Fortified Phonetics. He had a home studio.
Oh, okay.
And I had seen how, like, easy it was nowadays.
Yeah.
So, you get the interface, you get the mic, you get a DAW, and you fucking go from there. And
was there recording studios back then?
oh yeah, for sure. There's always been studios, but it's he had learned how to do everything himself.
Yeah.
And I took notes on that, and
See, that's what's dope.
yeah, and I've always been. I'm not a genius with stuff, but like I've always
Make
been
it
pretty
work.
savvy. Like if you can make beats and look at a screen, you can do that with a computer and figure out like how to mix.
Yeah.
My dad always had cool stereos with an equalizer.
Equalizers and shit.
I knew the spectrum, and that's all that, and then you figure out what a compressor is and shit,
And you start fine-tuning things.
yeah, and I had learned that from Connect. So I just saved up and got my own shit. And like
That's the way to do it for sure.
honestly, and it was because you got to pay studio time, and I don't know, it just made so much more sense for me to just set up my own thing.
I think for creative people that like have like that creativity like pumping through them rather than just like talent, I think there's a difference between talent and then creativity and drive, because if you're talented, like you could have someone just fucking like doing everything for you, and you can just hop in and fucking kill a verse and shit like that and like get a buzz. But if you're like really trying to be creative with this shit, I was having someone produce my podcast before whenever I was doing it years ago, and I hated having to like be on someone's leash. I wanted to be able to do shit myself and not have to worry about anyone else, because if it's on me, like it's only on me. There's no excuses, because I'm a fucking control freak, and if people like if I have to rely on someone and things don't go my way, I don't want to be a fucking asshole, because realistically, that's what I am going to be. So that's why I learned how to do all this shit myself and invested and bought my shit myself. It just makes it, I feel like for people that, because I saw that YouTube video of you out in the yard doing a verse on there. And you could tell that like you guys were always like kind of just making shit, like you guys weren't waiting around. You guys were making shit happen.
That's dope. You watched that. I forgot all about that one.
Bro, I'm telling you, anytime I have someone on here, even though I'm not fucking educated with half the names that you're saying right now, I'm committed to these fucking interviews. And like, I try to genuinely like figure people out and like where shit came from. And that was always something that stood out with me is like, you know, for someone to stick into this fucking underground hip hop world, it's like, it's just people that are passionate about shit. It always comes back to the graffiti shit too. It blows my mind that half of these people in the city are the meanest fucking artists around. But then you got people like Baron Batch throwing up some random shit and getting all the exposure. It's nuts to me, dude. Nuts.
Yep.
But yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry for my rant.
I feel that one. For sure.
Feel that one for sure. Real quick, what's on your hat?
I made this.
You made that hat?
Yeah. Well, I obviously didn't do the design on the patch. But
Yeah.
I just ordered this. Well, so the Carhartt hats, which is what this is.
Yeah.
I've been rocking for a long time, and that's like my favorite fit.
Yeah.
Of a tassel cap.
They have a
But,
good
like,
silhouette.
Love them. Always have since I was a fucking kid. But you know, every fucking hipster in town has one.
100%.
So I was like, I don't want to give up my comfort. But so I just got some patches and covered the Carhartt logo.
That's fucking dope. I appreciate
there's this website that I'm not going to give away all my secrets.
Don't give it away because
But yeah, there's this website that has really cool monster eyeball type of stuff, which I've always liked, and they got really cool cheap patches. They're iron-on, so I just ordered they had a little sale. I ordered a little grip of them and.
You've been into the monster type shit though. Like
I always liked that style.
You ever see the Monster Squad?
Yeah, the movie.
Yeah, the Monster Squad.
Absolutely.
That's good. I'm glad you've seen that.
Yeah.
You definitely have a style to you. I definitely jogged your swag on them dunks. I saw you post a picture, but I'm a camo fiend, and
yeah, I like that.
I don't like really, keep in touch with all the new shit that's coming out. But once I seen it, I was like, got to do it. But I want to get to like how you put out this vinyl. You said it was like a big process. Like I know nothing about this. I'm a fan of it. Like I'm part of Jack White is White Stripes.
Yeah.
So Jack White is like he's probably like one of the wildest people to me as far as musicians.
Doesn't he have a pressing plant?
He does.
Yeah.
Third Man Records in Nashville.
Yep.
And my dad grew up in like the whole 70s, like Led Zeppelin, Jimi Hendrix, and all that shit. So I was raised on those on the roots. And I just recently copped up all his fucking records from our house, and I started messing with him and playing them and shit like that. And I was thinking, like, my dad was telling me stories about how he saw Led Zeppelin, and thinking that to me, it's like, fuck, like that had to be insane. So I was thinking of people in our age now that will be equivalent to me to be able to tell, maybe my kids one day. Jack White, I feel, is the closest thing to like a Jimi Hendrix or a fucking Led Zeppelin or anything like that. And he does this pressing plant. And I think that I heard that he was like the only one that has this type of press. So like, what is the process of this fucking record?
Okay, that one. That's me and brother Seamus.
Yeah.
So I went to New Orleans. He's been living in New Orleans for like 15 years or something. Finally visited the dude like 3 years ago, which is ridiculous. He's been down there that long.
It's understandable, dude.
But so yeah, I fucking love it down there, dude. It calls me, all the time. But I went down there again last year, and he's the whole time he's been down there, he's been working with this dude Prospect, who has a studio, and he records a lot of the underground rappers in New Orleans. And I went down there, and he was like, we got to lay down a track with Prospect while you're here. And I was like, oh shit, I've been listening to this dude's music for fucking, Seamus has been sending me like stuff they've done over the years, and I'm like, all right, word, like, let's do it. So I went to the studio, Prospect and Seamus made the beats. I went in there and I wrote a lot of the verses right there on the spot. It probably might have been we were in there for a minute, man. I remember my girl fell asleep in the studio. We were just it was a dope vibe, dude. We were drinking Hennessy and fucking smoking and just like
in his own
writing. It was just me and Seamus, just like writing some shit. And like all those takes I did two maybe 1, 2.
Oh yeah,
each track, and it was an organic. And like I'm not very I haven't been to a lot of studios. I've always done my bedroom shit. You know, I've always had my own place. So that was the first time I actually went to a studio and recorded and wrote rhymes and like did it like all there organically. So we did the tracks. We felt good about it, you know, and Prospect, super musical dude. He laid down a lot of the synths in the other side track, the title track. You know, I said, all right, mix these down, you know what I mean? Master them next to each other. And like, I definitely want to like, I want to release this somehow as one entity. And I wasn't, you know, so he gave us a couple demos and I was like, man, this shit is dope. I really fucking fuck with these tracks. I liked that it represented like that one point in time when I visited New Orleans and made those 2 tracks.
Yeah.
And they were like important tracks to me.
Painted that picture.
Yeah. I like, it was a success. Like I was like, damn, I gotta like go to the studio, put my shit down. It's gotta like, you know, I hyped it up a lot and it went really good. So I was like, I wanted to start my own label for an umbrella. I was with a crew, Surface Level Records, for a while. Those are all my homies. But I wanted to do something really official that I had control over. And I was like, I had the name, Soul Slime Records.
That's yours.
That's me.
Okay, yeah. I have that written down on here, and I wanted to know where that was.
So but what I wanted to do, like me being a vinyl guy,
yeah,
you know, I've never had vinyl out, which is fucking ridiculous. I'm making all this music, I buy vinyl, but I don't have any with me on it.
Yeah,
you know? And I was looking for just the right
outlet,
the right tracks to happen, and then I was gonna know when it was time to put those on vinyl. And I was like, I think these 2 tracks I did in New Orleans with Seamus.
Oh, okay, I get what you're saying.
I think because I didn't want to call it Soul Slime Records. I didn't want to launch it until I had actual records.
Yeah,
like I wanted records.
Yeah,
so
records.
I was just waiting for that time when it felt right, and I was like, I think these 2 tracks are it.
And this is 3 years ago you made these.
This was last year.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
This
was my second trip to New Orleans.
All right.
This was last year, last spring. And I was like, this makes sense. This is me and Seamus. I love these tracks. Like, I want to do a 45. You know what I mean? And I have I'm blessed to know Dirty Bird.
Yeah, shout out Dirty Bird.
That's.
Hey, if anyone's on here listening to this, mention that motherfucker as many times as you can and tell him you want him on the podcast because that dude got a crazy story and eventually I'm gonna get him in his chair.
Damn, yeah, hell yeah, that's my dude. And that's my homie, but like his art, I was like, yo, that's who I want to do this shit. I had the art. He did the logos for Soul Slime and everything. Prospect mastered it specifically for vinyl. I hit up my boy Custodian of Records from New Jersey because I had got his vinyl releases, and me being like a vinyl dude, a lot of these newer hip hop vinyl releases I get, a lot of times the pressings aren't up to speed as they should be. But his were dope, and I was like, where did you get these? And he hooked me up with this company. He's like, I got them through this place. So I hit them up. Fucking started the process. Like, here's the art, the templates, blah, blah, blah. Prospect hooked up the mastering specifically for vinyl, which a lot of people don't do, and then the shit doesn't come out sounding. Because if you're going to have vinyl, it needs to sound better than a fucking MP3.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I wholeheartedly believe that. So I went through the process, and it was like, I want these to be the 2 tracks that I get pressed up. Got the test pressing back.
How long does that take?
That took about 3 months. The
company 3 months?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, the company I went through is actually the quickest turnaround I've ever found.
Wow.
Easily.
Why that much? Just because of sheer volume of people wanting that, or
that? And yeah, because there's not actually a lot of like
companies that still do
pressing plants, because
Wow.
they got to make the shit
3 fucking months.
Yeah, to at least. And I got the like, they're like, we send you the test pressing, you pay half, you know what I mean? Then they send you the test pressings, and I was fucking so nervous that those weren't going to sound good, but they sounded dope.
Your first pressing, you liked it?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's sick.
So I was like, all right, word, let's do it. And then that's the most successful thing as far as sales that I've done.
Yeah.
Is the vinyl. And that's because of the people that I'm associated with, they're all vinyl heads.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
So do you think that in your genre of music, like when people see tracks on vinyl, they gravitate towards that a little bit more?
Yes.
Why though?
I don't know. They just like records. I don't know about people in underground hip hop, but like cats around my age, I think it's more my age group.
Okay.
Like they're still tapped into that, like listening to music is an experience,
Like that nostalgic
like
type.
they're like, yo, if I'm gonna listen to it. Plus people know you're fucking serious
Yeah.
about it, is I think the main thing, like, because it's not a secret that vinyl is not cheap to fucking make properly.
Absolutely.
That's no secret, or else everybody would have it.
Yeah,
You know what I
CDs
mean?
are just like an easy thing you can just pump out.
Right, and
But
that's
this
what-
is a process.
Yeah, and they, that's kind of separates. People know that, like, if you got vinyl out, you put a lot into it.
Yeah,
Else
absolutely.
Why put it out?
So from beginning to end of that process, for you to start the process of vinyl to you getting all your vinyl back, how long would you say that was?
5 months.
5 months.
Yep.
Now, do you personally, with your shit that you make, do you ever lose like any like love of it? If it's just like, if you make a dope track and you're like waiting for 6 months, does the novelty of it wear off? Like almost like the shine and like the crispiness of it? Or do you forget about tracks because you're like getting into new ones?
That happens with everything I do, basically.
Yeah.
What but that one, I love those tracks personally.
Yeah.
And then to get the shipment in the mail and crack them open and put that shit on my turntable.
Probably a whole nother love.
And then it's like, oh shit, now I fucking like it.
So this is your first track ever made on a vinyl.
Yeah, I've been on other people's shit.
Yeah, but this is yours.
Yes. That's the only release I've ever had on vinyl.
So that's like that's a huge step, especially for being a fucking vinyl head.
Yeah.
Like for you to get your own shit, that's nuts. That's a good feeling. It's an
Yeah.
accomplished feeling, I'm sure.
And it's still, it gets overshadowed with like the fact that I want to sell them too. You know what I'm saying? Like, but there are moments when I'm like, oh damn, I got a 45 out. Word. Like,
Yeah,
and
dude,
I
that's
would
dope.
be happy if I bought that shit. I would be like, this is a nice little piece.
Yeah, man, you gotta like. I was just looking at this now. Like even like the packaging of it all. It's like it's dope. Like the whole project is dope. Dirty Bird's artwork is like it's a good eye catcher for sure. The dude makes some wild shit, and like the tracks are dope for sure. It's like it fits with the artwork. Obviously people that are listening to this probably haven't heard it yet, but like I said, it's like a psychedelic rap, psychedelic hip hop, and it definitely fits with it for sure.
And that be like what I do with all my releases is whoever does the cover art, they listen to the tracks first.
That's dope, dude.
You know what I mean? Always.
I like that.
And I don't even tell them what to do.
I like that.
Never.
I mean, yeah, you got to have the feel of it.
I want to see more like their interpretation, and they're visual artists anyway, and they fucking.
So you had no notes on this cover art.
I said I want Maya and Seamus's face on them.
That's it.
That's it.
And he fucking came up with the rest of this.
Yeah.
He's fucking nuts, dude. I can't wait to have him on here. He seems to be a wild one. What is the process of like a cassette tape? Because like I'm looking at cassette tapes and I've seen some artists put out some shit.
Yeah.
And they're dope. They're just like, do a lot of people have cassette players though?
Like the only reason I put those out is because me and I do a lot of like I do mixed bills sometimes where I'm on the bills with like punk acts and shit, and
Yeah.
like, they're all into that tape shit.
Really?
Oh yeah, and like like travel through that me and Billy put out.
Yeah, I saw that.
We got a run of tapes and fucking I sold all of those. I don't have any left. So
That is wild.
I'm doing like a beat tape.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people call a beat album a beat tape. I was
Yeah.
like, I'll actually put it on cassette tape. Those I made in my fucking studio one by one with a tape recorder.
Really?
Yes. I did
Wow.
I did the artwork myself on that one too. I designed them myself. My dude that does graphic design did the layout for the templates, but the picture is actually a photograph from my mom's yearbook from the fucking
Really?
from the 60s. Yeah. And
That's fucking dope.
yeah, and I just did their little pixel thing on the eyes and filtered it and like
Yeah, dude, I love that. We grew slow. Man, that's fucking sick.
but yeah, you get pumped. You can have that one and pump in the Buick, man.
Dude, I'll
If you
put
got-
I'll put that right into Buick
got
for
a
sure.
tape player, yeah.
Absolutely, I got a tape player, and then I got the tape player aux cord combo.
Oh,
You know, I'm in the trenches still.
I feel like that. Honestly, like everyone I sell tapes, I think I got 20 of them. It's a super limited run. I haven't even actually put it out there that I have those yet.
Oh,
Because
shit.
I've been releasing so many things at the same time that I'm gonna wait a minute for that. But if anyone hears this and they want one, fucking DM me. I'll send you. But yeah, I feel like most of the people who buy the tapes are like, "Yo, I still got a tape player in my car, so I can bump this."
Absolutely, dude. I'm pumped about it.
And
Honestly,
the same thing with CDs, actually, because I fucking don't. I am not a CD dude. I never have been. But
you never had that big ass book of CDs.
oh yeah, I did, because that's the only way you can
Yeah,
get
it's the only way to
music.
do it.
Yeah. Oh fuck.
It was a pain in the ass though.
Yeah, I've left that book of CDs on fucking roofs of cars, and
I lost.
Man.
I had a big book. I remember one year for Christmas, I asked every single person in my family. I was like, I just want CDs. Like I was into it. I was getting into the whole music thing. Had my anti shock disc.
Yeah.
Skipper.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember we had the ski club, and I fucking had probably a whole. It was like the 2-tier CD, not the 4-tier, but just the 2. And I was up at Hidden Valley, and I had this thing on my fucking bag, and I forgot it was on there, and I was walking, and it must have fell off, gone.
Yep.
Dude, just like probably 50 CDs in there, all brand new, just gone. My fucking parents were pissed.
Yeah, and that, you know, unless you fucking dub them onto a cassette, you can
Yeah,
never get
they're
them
gone.
back. Yeah, I mean, I had tons of CDs just because that was how you got music. But
Yeah.
I always had, I always like with tapes, you could throw them on the fucking floor of the car or whatever, and then pick them up. They worked fine, but CDs were so temperamental.
What's the process of you making these tapes? Was this a big deal? Was it hard to do?
All right, so yeah, the tapes. It was easy once I got the first cassette up to par with what I wanted. You know what I'm saying? I understand, like, I'm taking digitally mastered tracks and then putting them onto an analog medium,
Yeah.
which you lose, the true essence of it when you're doing that. So I wanted it to sound like as good as it could going from digital to analog. And
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be like, I'm just like, I'll just hit record on I got a tape deck. It's a nice one, separate component stereo tape deck.
Yeah.
But then I started getting real, as I do with everything, I started getting like overly audiophile and critical. I'm like, I'm putting, I used Bus Crate's Home Again beat tape to compare it to. And fucking sonically, that thing sounds so good. So I was like, I already had big shoes to compare it to.
Yeah.
Like, once I got it, like, the right. And then I started reading up on like, oh, you want to drop out some high end when you're doing tapes because it'll oversaturate and all the blah, blah, blah.
All the technical shit.
Yeah. So and then I started getting them up in my head like it wasn't going to be presentable enough. And I fucking went through so many tapes. I just wasted so many tapes. Because once you record, I'd go through like, I had some like old testers, but then like they weren't sounding as good as they were on like the master tapes I got. And
Yeah.
just the experimentation. I went through so many tapes, and then once I finally got it where I was, it was just a matter of fucking
Doing it.
sacrificing my studio to just make the tapes for fucking 4 days because
Yeah.
I can't use my computer and my interface while I'm making the tapes because that's what I'm using. I'm going right out of like Pro Tools into my interface, then into the fucking cassette recorder, and I just have to the whole album plays, and then it all records.
Damn.
So I would just be going about my day. I tried to like find like other shit I had to do that was, and I was just doing that, and I'd run upstairs and hit record. Did them shits one by one. Somehow they're finally done.
That's fucking dope, dude. I appreciate it.
Because if you start dubbing them, that's when you lose the quality.
Yeah, the quality of shit. So to do it correctly, full circle though. It's like you could tell that you're into it for the right reasons. Now the last the newest thing you got coming out is this Mushbrain.
Hardhead Mushbrain. Yes.
Now what's behind this? Like what's the story behind this?
So I would say 3 years ago. As you can see, a lot of my projects overlap from when I started working on them. I'm always got something in the works.
How do you pronounce this?
Phalopontosia.
Phalopontosia.
Yeah, and Moemaw Naedon. That's a fucking mouthful.
Yeah,
Phalopontosia and Moemaw Naedon. Now he's has an excuse because he's from France.
Oh, okay.
I just picked some weird ass fucking names.
Yeah, because I know you were telling me you were like, oh, this is it's a French
Right.
Producer and shit like that.
So I actually got a message from. It was right. I think I just finished Travel Through with Billy Hoyle.
Yeah, shout out Billy Hoyle.
Shout out Billy Hoyle from the motherfucking soil. I just finished that, and I was like, and before that, I'd done the project with Late Bloomer, and those are two cats that make beats.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And like, I also make beats. I've never had a full Moemaw Naedon self-produced rapping project, and everyone's always like, yo, where's your shit where you're spitting over your own beats? And I'm like, well, producers always hit me up and they want to collab.
Yeah.
So I was, after Travel Through, I was like, all right, so I want to work on my fucking solo project.
Yeah.
And I was like, if anybody hits me up, so let's work on a project, I want to be like, I can't right now, sorry. But this dude, Kaio Itachi, who's from France, hit me up, and he's actually a well-known like New York boom bap type producer. He's worked with a lot of like heavy hitter underground dudes from New York. He's done projects with Black Poet from Screwball, like dudes I've looked up to. So that guy actually hit me up and was like, my homie wants to do a project with you. You should check his shit out. And I was like, fuck, man. No, I like some sticking to my guns. I'm like, nah. I was just like, didn't reply back. And then he hit me up again. And I was like, all right, let me check this dude out. And I was like, damn, these beats are pretty dope. I hit the dude back. I was like, let's do a track and see how it turns out.
Yeah.
So he sent me a beat, which is actually the song Master of the Masks on that album. And it turned out good, and I was like, you know what? It's probably, why don't I just collab with this dude from France? Like,
yeah.
What the fuck?
Why not?
Well, because I was working a lot, and it's like, working full time and then trying to do a music project takes like I can really only pick like one because of how I am.
Huge chunk of your life.
Right. So it's a fucking a commitment. And I wasn't really looking forward to another commitment with somebody else, but I did it.
And it's out.
And
I'm holding it in my hand. Yeah,
he just kept sending me beat after beat after beat, and I really liked the way it started working. And it was done. I think that shit was done in 2017.
Really?
Yeah. And
Jesus.
Phalo's got real life shit going on.
Yeah.
And it didn't come out right when we wanted it to, because that dude is really, really technical and perfectionist about shit. And he had to he mixed it all down. And got it mastered and all that shit, and like that took a minute, but yeah, I'm glad.
Yeah, now it's out and it's here.
It comes out March 8th.
March 8th. Mm-hmm. This will be out tomorrow technically. This will be dropping.
That shit drops tomorrow.
Drops tomorrow, exclusive on I'll Call You Right Back. Mm-hmm. Now, what's your next move with all this shit?
Still working on that Moemaw Naedon self-produced.
Self-produced.
Joint. I actually been stacking those up. But my fear on that is that like the tracks will have taken so long to form together that I'm not going to fuck with them by the time it's all going to be ready. But I got them shits in the chamber. What's officially next is Moemaw Naedon and Bus Crates.
Okay.
Yeah, we did that song VG Plus last year, and it was like the most well-received track I've put out in a long time. And I'm honored to work with that dude. That dude is a fucking giant when it comes to production. He's so dope. So the fact that I'm working with him is actually a privilege. And we got 4 tracks done right now as it is, and we're gonna try to do an EP. So I only got a few more, and that's gonna be the next thing.
That's dope, dude.
Absolutely. And Soul Slime Records, I'm gonna keep putting out. We're gonna keep putting out physical media of releases, and we got some merch and some clothes, some shirts coming up.
I'm excited for that, dude. I really enjoy like the visuals, and like, I could tell that you're like, I could tell your background. You got the hip hop, you got the graffiti in it, and now that I didn't know you were a skateboarder, but now that you're telling me that, like, I do. I fuck with it all. I genuinely like your music. It's not like my go-to because I'm not like I'm not a big music guy. Like,
right.
But I've been fucking banging it this last week since you've been sending me all this shit, and I enjoy it, and you could tell the quality of it for sure. Absolutely. All right, now you ready to get to this last segment?
Yeah.
So I do this last segment on a podcast. You a fan of The Office?
Yeah.
Okay, so I do a segment called Desert Island Questions. I give each of my guests 3 categories, 3 choices for each category to take with them on a desert island to beat to death until they die. Mm-hmm. So the first category is things to watch. You could take movies, series, whole collections, whatever you want. 3 choices.
All right.
Got them?
Yeah.
All right, give me them.
The movie Psychomania, VHS copy.
No clue what that is.
Damn, what was... Okay, Psychomania, the movie from the 70s.
VHS copy.
Yes.
Okay.
The series Dallas TV show.
Dallas, like the old show, Dallas?
Yeah. Dopest fucking theme song ever.
Just reminds me of The Office whenever Kevin and Andy and fucking Daryl were playing Dallas. And that's Dallas.
Yeah. Favorite TV theme song ever. Just for that theme song alone, I'll watch it over and over again.
All right.
And the reel from the all the games from fucking the NBA Dream Team.
Oh, okay.
When they were in the Olympics.
That's a good choice.
Yeah.
I interviewed a dude who ran a haunted house in Monessen called Castle Blood, where he brought all the New York Yankee World Series games because he's a huge baseball fan. And like, I never thought about that. A guy that was here that I interviewed yesterday said that he would bring all the UFC fights. And like, I don't know why I never thought about shit like that.
That just popped in my head, man.
Yeah,
I was thinking about shit I used to like when I was young.
That's good.
And if I had to, and a runner-up would be Zoo York Mixtape, the skate video. I might actually replace the Dream Team.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch that. I am gonna watch that,
man. I wish I still had a copy I could just give you.
I'm definitely gonna watch that. I'll find it online. All right, blessing and a curse online. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Blessing and a curse. So the second category is: do you read?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, the 3 books.
Fuck. I mean, honestly, I'd pick 3 things I never read before, but
that's fine too.
I would say this Ralph Waldo Emerson anthology.
Okay.
Because it challenges the fuck out of me when I read it, because I have a terrible attention span. Super horrible. But that could keep me. I love that guy's visuals. I've actually taken word combinations from Ralph Waldo Emerson for inspiration for lyrics.
Okay.
That would enthrall me for sure.
Absolutely.
On a desert island. Let's just say Where the Red Fern Grows.
Ugh, that's a rough one.
In case I just wanted to just fucking
let some pain out.
Stew in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that movie fucked me up.
The book, man, I remember.
I didn't have to read the book, but we watched a movie in school and it fucked me up.
Yeah, I remember. I read that shit on my own time when I was a little kid.
You're an animal for that.
In The Great Shark Hunt by Hunter S. Thompson.
The Great Shark Hunt.
Just because I tried to read it before and I read it before actually, and I don't really remember it that well. But that guy always,
dude,
that's
the dude that's on next week's episode. He worked at what's the hotel in L.A. that's real popular? The Monafique. Hotel Monafique or something. Anyway, it was a hotel with a bunch of celebrities that would always go there. And he worked at the hotel, but he has a story about him chilling with Hunter S. Thompson for a second whenever Hunter was there for something. I can't remember the whole fucking story, but it was dope. It's weird though you just said that because that was like a big topic of our discussion.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not like the I have one book that I'm reading.
Yeah.
Like at any given point, I always have a book that I'm reading. I'm not like
I need to read more, dude.
Yeah, well, yeah, fuck me too.
Everyone needs to read more.
Yeah.
Read a fucking book.
Right.
Third category is I'm excited about this. 3 things to listen to.
Oh God,
I know, got to be difficult.
So difficult because honestly, like what I listen to, like people ask me what kind of music I listen to, and I can't even say because like I dig for weird records and all that quote unquote weird shit has kind of replaced like the regular music I would listen to. Like I've been into like weird music from Sudan and Ethiopia, like from the 60s and 70s.
Really?
Oh yeah. Like the shit is like mind blowing. I just kind of got opened up to that recently. Like, I listen to weirdest, like just weird shit. Avant-garde prog rock from fucking Australia and shit. So I'm gonna just do like, because to me I would want to take like anthologies.
You can take whole anthologies
Of shit that I've never heard though. So I don't know what to say for that.
Okay,
exactly.
okay.
If it was my choice, I would take like really intricate like world music anthologies with me.
Okay.
Is what I would do. But I'll just go I'll just do my top 3 albums I love.
Yeah, humor me.
So we'll do Operation Ivy, self-titled album, or it's called Energy sometimes. All punk group from the 90s. That's one of my favorite records ever. So Operation Ivy, Hemispheres. Oh shit, I went way too close. Operation Ivy, self-titled. An album called Hemispheres by a dude named Dose One.
Dose One.
That's on Spotify. Listen to it. It's called Hemispheres. You bug the fuck out. Midnight Marauders by Tribe Called Quest.
Okay. I do know who that is, and I do know what that is, but I don't know the other 2.
Yeah. Take those 3 with me.
Okay.
That's a pretty good time.
That's good. It's good choices. All right. Now, the second to last question I ask is your death row meal. So you could have whatever you want from wherever you want as much as you want.
Yeah. All right. I would have green curry from I have green Thai curry from the Green Mango.
Okay.
You know where that's at?
I've never been to the Green Mango, but I hear about it all the time.
Thai curry is my favorite shit, and they got the best.
I love Thai food.
Oh man,
I had some yellow curry at My Thai in Dormont.
good shit.
Yeah, it was real good. I'm usually not a curry guy though. I usually like noodles. Like I go for like the stereotypical, like I'll try other shit, but I usually gravitate towards like the pad thai. I just like some spicy ass pad thai. Like it's fucking dope.
There's something about that coconut milk and the curry, and the curry paste that is I fucking love. I started like making that shit at my house. I go to the Asian market and get the fucking coconut milk and the curry paste and just cook that shit up in a wok.
Yeah, dude, it's wild because like people just, I like cooking, but me and my wife were getting Blue Apron for a minute, and Blue Apron, like, you get exposed to all different kinds of wild shit, all different types of food, all different ingredients. You're just like, wow, it's fucking crazy. But yeah, dude, all kinds of food is good. I'm a big dude. That's my wheelhouse is eating. Anywhere I go, I try to eat. You been to Streets on Carson?
I have not been there.
Come on now.
I barely come over to the Southside anymore, man.
I know. It's worth it to make a trip there.
I need to. Yeah, that's honestly one place I've been meaning to go.
Absolutely. And my other place that's on the list is Cafe du Jour. It's right across the street from there, but Chef Matt from Streets, he told me that place is fucking fire. So I'm trying to fuck with that too.
For sure.
I usually just gravitate to the shit that I love though. You know what I mean? Like, there's 1,000 new places, but I can't get enough of like the fucking shit that I like.
Yeah, the area where I'm at, keeps me pretty occupied with food because I shoot up McKnight.
Oh yeah. For
Bunch
sure.
of shit up there, and then just East End, the East End.
You got all kinds of shit.
So much shit. You know what I mean? And then they got the food truck park right in Millville too.
Oh yeah, Grist House.
In Grist House, got the food trucks there, but they actually have a food truck park.
Oh really?
Riverfront Park.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
All right. Those are good choices. I fuck with some curry.
Hell yeah.
All right. So the last question that I ask everyone is, if you could have a conversation with anyone alive or dead, who would it be and why?
Fuck.
It's a deep one.
Holy shit.
Take a second. It's deep.
If I could have a conversation with anyone alive or dead,
Anyone.
it'd be James McEnroe, my dad.
Okay.
Passed away last year. Unexpectedly.
R.I.P.
So, yeah, to have just to know that it was the last conversation you have with somebody.
You can get in some good shit.
I would pick my pops and ask him everything I ever wanted to know.
That's a good answer. Now, let me ask you, if it's not a loved one, though.
Right. Okay. So we're talking about, yeah.
No. I mean, like, that's. I feel like that's what everyone gravitates to. Like, I would talk to, my grandfather and shit like that. Fortunately, I have my parents still, but it's usually that's usually everyone's answer if they got a loved one. But if you got someone who is not a loved one, someone that meant to you,
Thes One from People Under the Stairs.
Man, that's a movie.
People Under the Stairs is a movie.
No, that's what I know of it of.
Right. But that's also a hip hop group. They actually just like stopped making music this year.
Oh, really?
Those guys were, when I talk about ordering shit online back in fucking like 98, 97, that was when the CDs I ordered. And that's one, I would talk to him because like that dude is a analog music equipment, very knowledgeable with that shit, very knowledgeable with mixing. His beats are like, that's right up my alley.
Yeah.
His whole journey, he that dude has done, he's done everything that I've ever wanted to do in hip hop. You know what I mean? If I look to a model of somebody for inspiration,
he's the closest.
I always go back to Thes One. Super
dope.
underrated. Just
People Under the Stairs.
Yeah.
Movie's fucking wild.
Yeah, I need to I haven't seen that since I was a little kid, man. I don't even remember that shit.
All I remember is you ever see Jury Duty with Pauly Shore?
Yeah, I remember that movie.
Yeah, well, the killer, the guy that they were trying to pinch in Jury Duty is the fucking weird kid under the stairs with the wild teeth and shit. That's all I remember. Fucking wild ass movie. Scared the fuck out of me whenever I was young.
Yeah, if you're gonna check them out, I wouldn't look at their newer shit. I would check out Question in the Form of an Answer and OST.
Okay.
Those two albums.
Question in the Form of an Answer and OST.
Yeah, check those out. Those dudes are they're really good, man.
All right.
West Coast cats.
Well, dude, I appreciate you coming over and fucking trying to educate me with your fucking wild ass journey.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you taking interest for sure.
Absolutely, dude. You made a mark on me whenever I saw you outside in front of our store, fucking just killing it. You know, that always stuck into my head, and I knew that when I wanted to start this podcast, there was people that I've always had in my head that always have made an impression on me, whether it be something as small as that or, you know, something greater. But you've always been stuck in my mind, especially since you're working with fucking Anthony Bowser. Like, you know what I mean?
Big ups, Billy Hoyle. Whatever.
Shout out Billy Hoyle.
That's the only AB you need to worry about.
I know. I saw that tweet. I was dying. Dude, he's killing me. Check out Billy Hoyle. He got an episode on I'll Call You Right Back as well. But take a second and promote anything you want to promote, dude.
Hardhead Mush Brain drops tomorrow. Full length. 18 tracks. There's a hidden track on there. I'll let you know right now.
Exclusive on the
That's
podcast.
Right. 19 tracks with my dude Phalo Pantoja. We got Kansai of Minds 1. We got Homeboy Sandman. We got Brother Seamus. We got DJ Fadewell of Tracksploitation. We got DJ Iron. It's a cinematic, sonic representation of my art. Check it out.
All right. Plug your Instagram.
Find me on Instagram, Moemaw Naedon, MOEMAWNAEDON. That's the same thing on Twitter and Facebook. Check me out.
There you go.
Soul Slime Records also on Instagram.
Got an Instagram for that?
Absolutely.
I got to jump on that too.
What's next on Soul Slime Records is we have Pittsburgh producer C. Scott coming out with a beat tape on my label. So get ready for that.
Soul Slime Records on Instagram. You already know where it is. Everyone else that's listening, I appreciate it as always. Every week, dropping heat. You already know. Catch me on Instagram at I'll Call You Right Back. I'll Call You Right Back across the boards everywhere else. Send me an email with some people you'd like me to have on here. I'll call you right back at gmail.com. Give me some feedback. Let me know what you like. Let me know what you dislike. Call me a piece of shit if you want. I appreciate everyone listening, and I'll call you right back.